What's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 24 of the Switchrpg podcast. I am one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined as always by Father Nintendo himself, Gio.
Father Nintendo, I only wish. Yes. What's going on?
Not a lot. We're recording this a little late.
Well, you know, some people have dial-up internet and some people don't.
Not all of us can live in 2018. Some of us still live in 1998. Yeah, sorry about that. My internet literally died on me Monday, so no recording done. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time listening a day late, this is the official podcast on the website Switchrpg.com that brings you all the exciting news, upcoming game releases, and all the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch platform. This week we are talking about some Dragon Quest XI, some a game that Gio loves very much, maybe one of his favorites of all time.
Maybe
we'll
not.
See in a second. And then finally, we're talking about RPG tropes. So let's get this week started. Right into the news. We've got Grandia HD Remaster. That is coming to you from, if I can find where I opened it, there it is. Coming to you from comicbook.com. We've got some more news on Grandia Remaster. It's going to be obviously be Grandia 1, Grandia 2. Now, Gio, we were talking about this right before the show. Neither of us have played these games, so was there anything specific that kind of jumped out at you?
Yeah, like you'd mentioned, we can't play them all. We try to do, but you know, it's got English and Japanese support. It's got widescreen support, whereas before I don't believe it did. I think it was the 4:3 aspect ratio.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so it looks like the original cinematics are also getting some visual enhancements. So this is kind of like a, you know, enhanced edition, definitive edition, maybe.
Yeah. The post from comicbook.com has sort of a list of the upgrades. I like the enhanced the UI and sprites texture art.
Yep.
I kind of like that you can upscale it, and then obviously you don't have to have it upscaled because it says that it upscales ×2 and ×4. So, you know, I like whenever it gives you that option of having sort of like the super detailed or the, you know, sort of, I guess, the quote unquote original.
Yeah, right. So like a CRT kind of filter or modern day filter.
I don't know if it'll actually have the filters like that. No, but that'd be cool.
Probably not. Yeah.
Let's see, gamepad and keyboard support with remappable controls. That's for the PC version, though. So anyway.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so we're getting this. When was it that we're getting this? Is it just later this year, winter?
That
December?
I'm not
I can't
entirely sure.
When was that? Digitally converted the game manual.
Okay, well that's pretty much.
I know you're missing those game manuals.
I really do. And when I think it's NIS America or NAS in general, they have their game manuals, and there's nothing like opening up a game and having a manual, the smell of it, the fun, like I guess the nostalgia of it as well. It's just awesome. It's just awesome.
And as far as the release date goes, there hasn't actually been one officially announced, so that's why we couldn't think of it.
So there's no time frame or anything?
I want to say it was. I don't know why I thought it was winter.
Yeah, I mean everything.
I was thinking
it
was also kind of around when the Tales game is coming.
Okay,
Switch, but could be totally wrong. Anyway, let's move over to another big old RPG. That's Dragon Quest XI, something that we've been waiting a lot for on the Switch.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. It's actually out on PC and PS4 right now, and of course, because we're Switch players and we get the scraps of everything months, sometimes a year after everyone else.
Dark Souls.
Yeah, yeah. So Dragon Quest XI will eventually come to Switch. It
Mhm.
has the official Switch title though, and that is Dragon Quest XI-S, and this is coming from Jamatsu.
Yeah.
Now, the article, and let me just read a little bit of this, okay?
Sure.
Let's read a little bit of this here. Switch version of Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age will be titled Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age S, Square Enix announced during its Dragon Quest Paradise News Station event at Tokyo Game Show 2018, according to Dragon Quest series creator Yuji Horii. Among the meanings of the S in the title are Switch,
Right.
Special, Shibiru, which means speaking, and Seiyu, which means voice actor. Okay. Weird.
Oh, right.
The release date was not announced, but Horii said that it will still take a bit of time before the Switch version is released. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that it's either Switch edition or special edition. Now, does the PS4 version have voice acting in it?
Yes. I turned the voice acting off.
You do?
Yes.
Is it bad, or
No.
you just prefer that?
I just prefer that. I prefer that. I actually do that for almost any game that allows it to be turned off. I turn it off. I did that in Octopath Traveler. And once again, not to reflect the quality of the acting itself, but RPGs specifically, I kind of like the older feel. And I guess when I think about playing RPGs years ago and having a lot of fun with it, I was reading them. And so that's just,
I could see where you would do that with Octopath, because it has that older look. It has that retro look where in that game period, there were no voice acting. So I could see where it would make sense for that. But for Dragon Age, there's cinematic sequences where it kind of, where it kind of relates to. I'm sorry, go ahead. It looked like
okay,
you want
well, you said Dragon Age. Were you meaning Dragon Age?
No, I meant Dragon Quest.
Because my ears will perk up. But but you actually opened up a good can of worms, because with a game like Dragon Age, I wouldn't turn the voices off, because to me the game is created in a cinematic, and I am talking specifically about Dragon Age.
Okay.
It's made very cinematically, and games that are made with that in mind, The Witcher comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily turn that off, because
it's almost necessary.
It is necessary, because those game makers weren't really thinking about that whenever they made that. So a lot of times, and for those who don't really pay attention to this, you may not realize, a lot of games you cannot, even if the option is there, you cannot lower the voices, because the way the scenes are crafted, a lot of times the speaker's back is shown, so you're not actually seeing their mouth. The subtitles do not include who the speaker is. So it's very, very difficult to follow in a lot of games where that's not planned from the beginning.
Right.
Now, to your point, because you meant to say Dragon Quest, the thing is, to me, Dragon Quest, what I played of it, still felt classic in a way. Even though it is a little bit more cinematic, it still felt like they took the time to, let you know who was speaking, and they didn't have any problem, following scenes. And the thing is, a lot of the game isn't voice acted. It's sort of like Ni no Kuni 2 in that way. Gio, I know you haven't played Ni no Kuni 2.
Yes, thank you for shoving that in. But go ahead.
Breath of the Wild is another thing. Like, key scenes are voice acted. I would say Dragon Quest 11, more scenes are voice acted than not. But you have those key scenes, but then most of the time talking to NPCs and things like that are just text based. So
yeah.
To me, it already kind of leaned toward no voice acting anyway.
Yeah, well, in Breath of the Wild, Link has always been a silent protagonist anyways. He's never, other than in the animated series, which no one likes to refer to, he's been ultimately silent. So, but yes, everyone does talk to him, and whenever he talks, it's just text. So yeah, he's always been a silent, protagonist. Right. But for me, I generally prefer voice acting unless it's really, really bad. But generally also with these these studios, they're going to have a higher budget. They're going to get some better people. So shouldn't have that issue here.
Yeah, and something that I know some people, specifically in our Discord, there's some people who are a little disappointed that we aren't necessarily getting the 3DS version, and that is the case. We aren't getting the 3DS version. The draw to that version was that you could switch back and forth between what we see in the like the PS4 release, and then you could switch between that and a sprite based version of the game.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, I did not even know that.
yeah, so there was a lot of like interest in that, but we aren't getting that. It would have been cool if they had sort of combined both of those styles, but
Mhm.
you know. Speaking of Dragon Quest, Geo, if we want more, we better dang go out and get Dragon Quest 11 now. In fact, even if you don't have a PlayStation, you need to do your duty, because Square Enix is watching, guys. Square Enix is watching us. If we don't go out and do our sacred duty, we may never get Dragon Quest again.
What is that, right? I mean, honestly, like
coming to you from IGN, we have that the creators of Dragon Quest 11 say that this game needs to quote sell well in the West for the possibility of localizations of future titles.
yeah, we're not wasting our time unless you guys buy it.
Okay.
I don't see this doing bad, so I mean,
no, I don't either. But there's a part of me that is a principle thing. It's a principle thing, because
Right.
and I don't even know if to lay this at the feet of the developer, like the person who's actually giving us this news. You know, who this is producer Hokuto Okamoto. And this is what he told IGN Japan at TGS this year. We need Dragon Quest to sell in the West, even just a certain amount, if we want to keep making localized versions. So I don't know whether to put this at the feet of this guy or the team that makes it, right? This is, to me, a publishing deal, right?
Right.
Am I wrong to assume that?
Yeah, they're the one who's putting the game really out there.
I don't feel like I'm wrong to lay this at the feet of Square Enix. And I feel like we're both teasing Smiles a little bit, because we know like my blood pressure is rising a little bit. I can already feel like the
I can see it. I can see it
a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So Gio, please tell me this. Just answer this very simple question. How can a game and a game franchise sell well in a region where there has been no consistency in bringing that franchise to that region in the past? And then we're going to tell you may never get it again if this doesn't sell well, because we've gotten a recent Dragon Quest game like 200 years ago. So now buy this one or you may never get another one. So like give me the business philosophy behind that.
It just doesn't sit well with me. It's like it's a threat, really. You know, if you want it, you gotta buy it. And I want to say they're not the only ones who are guilty of this. I want to say EA has been guilty of this with FIFA. If you want FIFA on the Switch, you have to buy it. Basically, it's the same deal. So when a publisher, Square Enix, does something like, because like you said, I'm putting this on Square Enix's shoulders for sure. It just, I don't know how that sits well with fans, but in saying that, I think this will still do well, even though it's not been released at the same time as the PlayStation 4. That will kind of hurt things. But for example, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a JRPG, did fairly well. Now, what kind of numbers is doing well for Square Enix? I mean, is it Xenoblade Chronicles 2 numbers, or is it higher? What are their expectations? I don't know. I have no idea. No idea.
Okay, so here's my thing, because I don't want everybody to think that I'm not thinking about this, because I understand supply demand. Okay, I understand basic economic principle, right? Like, Yeah, okay, I get that. If no one is buying, then there's not demand for it, so then there won't be as much of a supply. But the thing is, it's also in the video game industry, it's not 1991 anymore, right? So when they were blazing trails into the West, right, and they maybe they
Yep.
they 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 debuted a franchise over here and it didn't sell. Well, okay, putting games on cartridges is freaking expensive,
Yeah.
and there's no hope that people are going to buy it. So okay, I get that. I get really when your studio and your publishing studio, it sort of depends on this because you're just starting off. Okay, I get that. But we're not in the 90s anymore. We're not
Yeah,
in the
we're
2000s anymore. Square Enix, you have your hands in so many different pots in the kitchen. I just feel like you could take a quote unquote loss on Dragon Quest, take some of that Final Fantasy money, take some of that other things that you're publishing, and balance out your business. Like, I just don't see where in this day and age you can use if a game doesn't sell in the West, we're just not bringing it over there. I mean, I just don't understand that as a business philosophy, because you could literally release a game digitally and then you're not even spending money on putting it on a physical cartridge or physical disc.
right, but you also have to put it on. You have to give it a chance. Like I feel with
Yes.
with this, like they're already a step behind, because it hasn't been released at the same time, so it doesn't have that fair shake like the PlayStation 4 or PC sales. Like, again, I'm not sure what they're going to compare it to, but you have to kind of compare apples to apples here, with sales and how well it would do if you had released it at the same
But
time.
but 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 Gio, this isn't even. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't necessarily talking about Switch version, right? I mean, this is them saying the entire series they won't localize anymore.
Yeah,
It's talking
okay.
about PS4 sales and Steam
And
sales.
everything, which doesn't make sense because I thought the PlayStation 4 numbers were fairly good.
Yeah. So like to me, this is even a little worse because this isn't okay. If you don't put, if it doesn't sell well on a console, we're not going to put it on the console. To me, this is talking
Yeah,
about we're
okay.
not going to localize in the West anymore, which is the problem that we've had in the Dragon Quest series forever. There's a
Yeah.
reason I haven't really played any Dragon Quest games because I can't get my hands on them. Like back whenever I was playing them, I played Final Fantasy because I went to GameStop and there it was on
It's
the
right there.
shelf, right?
Yeah.
So I know that there has been Dragon Quest games in the past, but like, I mean, where have they been? Like, maybe we've gotten some DS games, some 3DS games,
Right.
but I mean, like, 10 is a very successful MMO in Japan, and it's not here. I don't know. I
It's
don't know.
not.
I don't know about Pat. I mean, I'm not trying to be like uh, the savior of Dragon Quest here. I haven't played the games, but I'm just saying, like, I know that there has been a history of not localizing these games. So in
Right.
my mind, it's going back to what you said. How can
You
you
still have,
give this thing a chance?
you still have to
His
support it yourself, You have to put the game out consistently, and fans will come, the fans will flock to it, just like with Final Fantasy, just like with Nino Kuni. They have their fans, that you have to believe in your fans will love it, they'll buy it, and then word of mouth happens. I mean, that's business, right? You just
especially for a franchise that, and I'm not meaning this in a derogatory way, but if you look at Dragon Quest 11, what are the risks that it's taking as a franchise? It's playing to all of its strengths.
Mhm.
It is a just a traditional RPG,
Mhm.
and I'm not saying that like Final Fantasy is, whatever. But the thing is, like, Final Fantasy is a risk every time it comes out because it changes its own formula for every game. Dragon Quest doesn't necessarily change everything. It's kind of like the Pokemon in Square Enix.
Yeah.
To use your
Okay.
to use your own,
Yeah,
sort of
where there's
analogy.
there's very little change or very little differences
And the
between
thing
the
is, it's a for sure thing. It's a for
two.
sure
Mhm.
thing. So like, I feel like if they would just commit and bring these things over, let us play more Dragon Quest games, and more than just like early Dragon Quest games on our phone. Like, bring over some legit stuff. Let many people who didn't experience it the first time, let us experience it now. Let us sort of steep in that culture and that tradition, and let us be fans. But you're not growing, like you said, you're not growing a fan base if we get every 6th or 7th installment.
Right, 10 years apart.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. They need to. I think the West can support a Dragon Quest game. I just don't. I don't understand where this is coming from. To be honest with you,
This is coming from the same people in the same mindset that said, "Oh wow, we're shocked that Octopath Traveler so well." We guess it's because people appreciate RPGs again.
no
Because
kidding.
there was decades where people just did not appreciate RPGs.
They've always been here. Fallout, as far as I knew, is pretty successful. Witcher is pretty successful. There are many RPGs.
Going back to Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you brought that up, right?
Yeah, that
Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a very Japanese game.
for sure.
And Monolith Soft has done a fantastic job of carving out its niche. And like
Yep.
it has its devoted fans, and the game
And
sells well, and they're faithful.
and every iteration is different.
Yeah.
Xenoblade Chronicles 1 is different. X is very different, and then X2, I mean, Chronicles 2 is even more different.
Yeah, so you bring up a great point. So that's a series that has taken risks,
Mhm.
and yet it still has a faithful fan base. Dragon Quest is a series that doesn't change much, and yet they're still afraid to bring it over because it's not going to sell well. I just don't get that. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
So I'm
I don't
telling
know.
you, Gio, you need to go ahead and get 2 copies of the PS4 version.
You got to make up for
Just
everybody.
put them on the shelf. Just put them on the shelf. Everybody's
What
got a
about my
band together.
NES versions? Does that like help?
No. Well,
No.
I mean, look, they're living so far in the past that maybe if we did go out and buy a bunch of NES versions, they'd be like, hey, there is a market for it. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. All right. Next up, we've got. Yeah, let's go ahead and go here.
I don't know where you're going, but you go there.
All right. So, thankfully, right? We didn't record on Monday because I believe this news came out after we recorded. Gio's nodding his head, so he knows what I'm talking about now.
I know what you're talking about now.
So Gio's favorite game of all time, the best game that's ever been created by human hands, not counting any games created by alien hands. Divinity Original Sin 2 has, I guess, been officially confirmed for Nintendo Switch, or is it still just a rumor?
It's still just a rumor. Now, the article I've linked to you is actually it's kind of an older article.
It is.
It's an older article, but it was just kind of brought up to light again. The article I'm referencing is on Shack News. Larian Studios has plans for Divinity Original Sin 2 on the Nintendo Switch, and this is dated back to May. Now, this game was not on my radar, so I totally wasn't paying attention to this. But yeah, they kind of just say that they have interest in bringing it over to the Switch after they brought it over to Xbox One as well as PlayStation 4, and they provided an update, the definitive update for Steam users. So, but actually, no, I'm sorry. The article we now know that there are plans to bring Divinity Original Sin 2 to the Nintendo Switch as well.
It was
So
updated. That's the reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So, fantastic. Okay. Now, I did actually tweet out at them. They have been pretty faithful whenever I tweet at them or bring up Divinity Original Sin in any tweets. They generally like the tweet, which is awesome. They if I have anything nice to say about them, they're liking it, they're retweeting it. And I did do a little demand. Now, if I can actually pull up the tweet, so I know exactly
what you
was
said.
said.
While you do that, I am watching what was labeled as a Nintendo Switch trailer. I just don't feel like that really was a Nintendo Switch trailer, though.
Yeah.
doing some live investigative journalism with professional gaming journalists. Geo.
All right, so I put, hey, Larian Studios, the developer, we need to discuss some things. I'm so excited for this, and basically I linked the article as well as put a picture of Divinity Original Sin on there, and they have yet to comment or like or anything, which is, you know, the silence is deafening. I feel like there's something there, where there's smoke, there's fire, and I will absolutely lose my mind if this comes to the Switch. Now, I've already put quite a bit of time on the Xbox version, and I will certainly double dip into this version. So, yeah, this is and I guess you can call him an indie developer, but it doesn't, the game does not feel indie whatsoever. It's a very well polished game, very well thought out. So very excited for this. Very excited for
Okay,
this.
so at nintendosoup.com they have a video posted, an interview with the developer, and around the 3 minutes and 40 mark is where they say that there are plans to port it to Switch. So that
Okay.
is, like I said, a video from Nintendo Soup, so you guys can go check that out. Just just go to Nintendo Soup and look up Divinity Original Sin 2. And there's a video there. I have it playing. I don't want to turn it up too loud. But that is where the Switch version, they said that they're porting, but they offered no further details. So yeah, this is a game that I am very excited for. It's a game that even before it was released on Steam, my best friend said he has had his eyes on this game for a while.
Yeah.
So it has been on my radar since before its actual Steam release, and I just never had the chance to pick it up. Then you started singing its praises the moment that you picked it up. And
And like I said, instantly top 5 RPG ever for me. So
I actually started watching a Let's Play of it about half an hour ago.
okay.
On YouTube. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I like the look of it.
So yeah, I'll just say it right now. I am doing a let's play for it. I'm doing something a little different. I'm doing an evil playthrough. So you can go this game. There's so many possibilities. So I'm actually tailoring it to Skeletor from He-Man. So I'm trying to get it as close to him as I can. I will play with another character, so he'll have like a minion. That's kind of what I'm planning. I don't know how I'm going to build that character out, but for the main character, I'm planning on doing it as Skeletor. And I've already done some evil things. I have a few episodes recorded. I will release one probably. What is today? I'll do it on Thursday.
Today is Thursday, so you'll do it today.
Today, I will do it today. No, probably. So yeah, today is Thursday.
Well, no, today is Wednesday. People will listen to this on Thursday.
You're messing me up. It'll be released on the 27th,
guys. people who are watching this, viewers who are watching this live, you can see his actual confusion.
Yes, it'll be the 27th.
Okay, great. So, real quick, Gio, I'm here from Switchrpg.com. Got a question.
Hi. Sure.
If you have a moment to field it. Am I wrong in believing that this game gives me some Dragon Age Origins vibes? Am I wrong in feeling that way? Should I feel that way?
You can certainly feel that way. The environment feels that way. The story kind of feels that way. You have I want to say a little more control over your character and character creation for sure. But you definitely are right in feeling that way, though.
Follow-up question. What do you mean by the story does feel that way as well? Story in the way that it's told, or thematically?
More the way it's told. And also the environment lead me to have that Dragon Age vibe. I don't want to give away too much because the game is kind of fairly new, and I would love for you to play it because I think you'll have a fantastic time playing it.
And because I know that you'd mentioned that you're playing with some other people. So like,
Yep.
when this comes to Switch, we're already using the when. When this comes to Switch, we can expect co-op
I
games.
I would hope for co-op when I play with my brother-in-law and we set up a two-person party and we can play the game together. We can totally go apart. He can be in one end of the map. I can be on the total other end of the map. We can be talking to two different people. We can be doing two different quests at the same time. It's it is the co-op in this is phenomenal. It is phenomenal. And I actually went over to his house to play it. When you are together, you're on the same screen, okay? But when you get to a certain distance, it turns into split screen, and it does so like seamlessly. It's so smooth the way it does that. Where like you're like I said, you're playing on the same screen. For example, if you picture like Diablo or because it's an isometric game, if you picture Diablo or Path of Exile or something like that, you're together doing the same things. You're in a battle. It is kind of tactical, turn-based battle, but when you're out of battle, out of initiative, and you kind of go your own separate ways if you wanted to, it turns it to split screen, down the middle, and it does so like so seamlessly. It's phenomenal the way they work co-op.
I mean, I've got to tell you. I mean, look, Lego Pirates of the Caribbean was doing that long before Divinity: Original Sin was even a
Okay.
child. Okay, but seriously though, that's pretty incredible. Now, what is the party system like? Okay, well, my brain's all scrambled right now. Is there online co-op?
There is online.
Okay, there is online co-op on the
Yep.
other consoles, so we
Yeah,
could be getting that. We could be getting that. I mean, presumably
there is online co-op. You can join other people's games if they have it open.
Okay.
If they want four people in their game, you can actually join their game. Now the one thing that kind of stinks, okay, with multiplayer or co-op. For example, my brother-in-law is the one who started this campaign. So it's essentially his campaign. He's kind of like the dungeon master. So if I ever want to play that, I have to play that with him.
Okay.
I've made my own character and he can continue on our quest if he wants to. But in order for me to play that, I have to join up with him.
Okay.
So it's kind of like he's the dungeon master. I got to go to his house, air quotes, his house to play the game.
Okay. Now, party system. Going back to I guess just single player for right now. So, do you control multiple party members in battle?
You can control all of the party members. There is not a way, as far as I know, to have it as a computer played character. But you essentially you are all, if you want a four party play through, you are all four characters.
And those other three, or I may be thinking about it just incorrectly, but like, are they? Do you create them, or are they pre-made? Do you find them in the world?
It really depends. You can make your own main character,
Uh huh.
choosing different
Sure.
classes. You can go with a pre-made as your main as well if you wanted to go with one of one of the ones they've already made for you. If you remember the title, you can beat all those guys, either one of those guys, and you can have either one of those guys in your party as well. But then you can also make other characters as well.
Okay.
So it's really however you want to play it. A lot of the ones that they've already made for you have good backstories. They have their own quest. They have their own reason for joining your party. So they already have a story, which makes it kind of exciting to play those guys. They kind of have their story. So
Interesting. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that when this comes out, Age of Boredom on YouTube and myself are going to do a role play version of this where one of us is Alistair and the other is Morgan from Dragon Age Origins. He's my Dragon Age brother in arms, and we'll love it forever. Anyway, okay, so that's oh my god. Okay, and the final question is the combat, is it turn based or is it action skill based?
It's turn based. You have action points. For
Okay.
example, you have 6 action points. You have different skills that cost so many action points. But it is turn based.
Okay, so that is slightly different than DAO.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I would call it a turn based tactical RPG.
Turn-based tactical RPG. All right, I'm down for that.
It's phenomenal. I love it.
Acceptable. All right. More games coming to Switch. More games that we've already played in other places coming to Switch. In Bandai Namco US, straight from the horse's mouth here, from their Twitter account, in honor of the 5th anniversary of Sword Art Online. Check out some of the new announcements that we have. Plus, Sword Art Online will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So take SAO on the go. Get ready to dive in and immerse yourself in Sword Art Online once again. Thank you for playing.
Why isn't Bandai Namco demanding, if you want these games, you have to buy them? Why aren't they doing that? Why is Square Enix the ones?
Oh, yes, because okay. Anyway, yes. I don't know. This
is an even older game.
This is to me, I feel like this is fairly old. Is it a year old at this point?
For what?
Sword Art Online. The most recent one's not too old, right? Because I remember being on Discord when it was released. So I think it was about.
Okay, I'm not entirely sure.
I don't remember. Anyway, I've never played it before, so maybe I can actually play it now.
That's kind of why I'm not entirely sure. Visually it looks pretty cool. It would definitely is something I'd be into. I just haven't gotten into it.
Okay, Gio, why don't you tell us a little bit about this next one from Reset Era about Monolith Soft? We mentioned Monolith Soft earlier. Now I know that there's been some buzz about this in the Twitter land the past couple days with this title. This was going to be title. I'm going to butcher it, but it's Baten Kaitos 3.
Baten Kaitos. So this is a game that was out a while ago. Again, I'm not totally familiar with it, so I don't want to speak out of turn, but the art director had said that they were in development, I guess kind of pre-development. I don't recall because my iPad is totally not dealing with my point and clicks today. So it was kind of in pre-development, and for whatever reason they stopped. If you have the article in front of you, just let me know what it was. But for whatever reason they stopped, and the art director, the former art director, said, if you want this game to come back, and it sounds like he wants it too, you need to contact, or you need to let Monolith and who else was it?
Yeah, okay, so I've got it right here. I guess it's Bandai Namco, right? So
yeah, okay, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so here's the translation of what he said from his original tweets. It's been more than 10 years since the release of Bots and Kaitos 2, and even now it pains me that I continue to receive requests for a sequel. I think the statute of limitations has run out, so I can say a little bit about it. Immediately after the release of Bots and Kaitos 2, Namco, now Bandai Namco, worked on a sequel up until the pre-production phase. But just before Bots and Kaitos 3 could become a reality, the story ended due to the circumstances of the involved parties. If we made it, it would have been a grand-scale game with settings at the bottom of the sea, on land, and in the sky. There's a large amount of concept art for the sequel sealed away at Bandai Namco. Requests for a sequel should be directed not just to myself and Monolith Soft, but also to Bandai Namco.
Okay, so I kind of had it reversed, where I thought it was they actually do have a Baten Kaitos 2,
Yes,
and
they do.
this was going to be in 3. So what this immediately sparked in my head was the fact that Monolith Soft is in production of a, I don't know if it's a new IP or a different IP. So this is why is he talking about this all of a sudden? So again, they're doing some new hirings. They've got this new game coming out. This is kind of what I thought of. And
We did talk about that many episodes ago now. A dozen episodes, maybe 20 episodes ago. I don't know. But there is an IP that Monolith Soft is working on that presumably will have some sort of online functionality. We
yep,
were considering the possibility of an MMO.
MMO, right?
So yeah, this is interesting. I'm still wondering if it's a Xenoblade MMO myself.
I hope it isn't. I want something new. That's just me. I mean, a Xenoblade, I wouldn't deny it. I would love it and hold it.
Here is why I hold my breath. I just think conceptually, Xenoblade is such a cool universe. The
Yep.
idea of a universe set on Titan, like these humongous actual living creatures, I think it would be
Hmm.
so cool if they could pull it off to have it where we could traverse these huge Titans that are like actually moving for everyone at the same time, and we could traverse between them. I think that'd be pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would definitely be cool. I'm I think the MMO phase in me and in my life, it's just not my thing right now with MMOs. And I played a ton of Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. Um I played a lot of it, and I don't know what it is. I think it's just the addictive nature of MMOs. I just try and stay away. I mean, I keep up with Guild Wars news, and I always think about, yeah, maybe I could just look at my character and just try and dive in. But there's been so many changes. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even be able to keep up.
So yeah, if anybody has any other information, any more information about this Botson Kaito 3 or
Yeah.
opinions on it, let us know. We'd love to know. Like I said, I saw this going around. Gio and I both saw this going around on Twitter. I had never heard of the Botson Kaito series. Like, I mean, it's 10 years old. I
Yeah.
wasn't playing that many games 10 years ago, to be completely honest. So, and then I do see where Gio did link to the other article that dates back to 2017, where Xenoblade is, or not Xenoblade, Monolith Soft is recruiting for a quote
Right.
unquote ambitious project. So,
Yeah, I wouldn't think Bots and Kaitos would be an ambitious project. I mean, it was a card-based RPG, so I don't know.
Gio, this was going to be set at the bottom of the sea, the
Well,
land, and the sky,
Xenoblade Chronicles 2,
everywhere.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 kinda has that. Kinda.
You're kind of right.
Kinda
You're
has
kind
it.
of right. We did
Yeah,
dive
but
below the sea.
yep. So you dive
Those
below the
South
sea,
Ridges.
you're on the Titans, and then I don't know, you're in the air
When
for
you
some
jump
of
in
them.
that game, you float for forever. So
Right.
yeah. Um. All right. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about Telltale?
We can just kind of
Just glance
briefly.
over it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that a lot of people, lost their jobs. It does, I couldn't imagine what I would have to do if I lost my job. But they closed down like just like out of nowhere, out of the
Mm-hmm.
blue. I want to say it's more than 250 people
Mm-hmm.
lost their jobs. But the news has been coming out pretty quick about this. So apparently they've they've got one of the last seasons or one of the last episodes of
Walking Dead, right?
The Walking Dead, and they're looking into partners to kind of complete the story, wrap it up. And then now there's this class action lawsuit
Because
going.
they haven't paid those employees severance, right? I mean,
Right.
it's kind of a big mess.
Yeah, because they're supposed to also get, I think it's 60 days notice before they lose their job, and obviously no one got any notice.
Hmm.
So, it's a big giant mess. But I've also seen a lot of outreach, which is really kind of cool. A lot of outreach from other developers, other publishers. Gearbox is one that comes to mind. But yeah, they've been just saying, if you're a developer, we know you lost your job, and they just go through all their job postings. Take a look at this and see if this is anything you're interested in. So kind of cool. So with them losing their jobs, there's still hope out that other people, have their interest in mind as well. So just kind of stinks.
Yeah, and I feel like, to me, Telltale, it was big enough of a studio with games that I've heard of. I've not necessarily played them myself. They're not really for me.
Hmm.
But it was like, wow. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that actually happened, and it was because it was financial.
Yeah.
Just, they had not seen the sales that they needed to see in the past year or so, and just ran out of money. And that's
Yeah.
sort of a scary thing, because I think a lot of times we feel like the industry that we're in, we're always talking sales numbers, and it's just like, a lot of times I don't really think about how finite finances are for these studios,
Hmm.
and for something this big to just go under that fast, it was, sort of eye opening in a way. And
Yep.
the other thing that was really eye opening, because now there's sort of this philosophical debate, if you will, that's sort of out there, is, was Let's Plays one of the reasons why it went under, right? Because people decide to watch these games on YouTube
Yep.
instead of buying them themselves. Specifically, this type of game that is, basically just story based, choices based, right? So you just watch somebody else make the choices. You get to watch the story yourself.
Right.
I mean, that really hits me, because I do that, right? If I'm not able to go out and get a game, I will watch a let's play of it. And
Hmm.
that's a type of quote unquote gaming that I've partaken in over the years.
Right.
So it sort of is eye opening that those studios really feel the impact of that. I think a lot of times I think about let's players as encouraging the purchase of games, because people will watch them play and then have to go get it themselves.
Hmm.
But a lot of times that doesn't translate to sales with these types of games. It's like, okay, well, I already saw the story. Now there's really nothing for me to do in the game. So why buy it?
Yeah. Well, I know in their types of games, some of the decisions matter. It does change the story a little bit. But I mean, for the most part, they ran out of money. I feel like they got big way too fast. If that makes any sense, they were buying a lot of these licenses. They started off with Borderlands, and then they went on to other guys like The Walking Dead.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Well, did they end up doing Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I thought that they had a season of Game of
they
Thrones.
okay. Did they do Lord of the Rings as
No,
well?
no, they didn't do
Okay.
Lord of the Rings.
All right. So okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I think they just
But I mean,
I
then
don't
they
know,
got
maybe
into Batman and Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah. So just they are they purchasing these licenses? Did they get kind of way too big or too ambitious, too fast? I don't know. I don't know what why they lost their money or whatever it was, but it's just unfortunate.
It really is. It really is. And just hope the best for, like you said, I mean, it's over 200, close to 250 people.
Yep.
People, humans that are
Yep.
sort of out there looking for a job now. So hope the best for them. Okay, so G, you put in an interesting little thing here, a little tweet from
I did this for you
Spawn. You
actually.
did do this
Yeah.
for me.
Hmm.
If I had thought about this, I probably would have done that when I was dishing on Square Enix earlier. But I just wanted to space it out so that every few minutes I could just get a little shot in. This isn't even for Square Enix, by the way. So anyway, so this tweet from Spawnwave. This isn't even really news, but
No, just
this is
speculation.
one time where professional gaming journalist Gia will divulge into a little bit of speculation. Okay, so Spawnwave tweets out, so wasn't the reason Final Fantasy XIV was staying on PlayStation 4 because of crossplay issues? I wonder if that game came to Xbox and Switch now if Sony's stance changes like it has with Fortnite.
Yep. So Fortnite is now doing crossplay. They're playing nice with everyone. So this, like I said, to put this up for you, run away with it.
Yes and no. It depends on how big a guy, right? Fortnite really forced Sony's hand because remember they did not initially fold. Sony did not initially fold. It was they got their hand forced because of the backlash from their decision to make it non-crossplay, non-cross progression. People who it was absurd. People who had accounts on PlayStation had to make new accounts for the Switch and PC so it was just, it was a big mess. And so Sony literally had their hand forced. So the answer to this, would things change as far as Final Fantasy 14? It depends on how big of a force Final Fantasy 14 would be.
Right.
Like
that's kind of what I was going to mention. Like Fortnite is massive right now. I don't know how massive Final Fantasy 14 is at the moment. I mean, could they support more gamers from Xbox or Switch?
So the thing is, like, Final Fantasy 14 boasts all these numbers of these accounts, but look, MMO like subscription numbers are very shady at best, and so Final Fantasy 14 is no stranger to that. But I just don't know if it necessarily has the push that it would need.
Right?
Like Fortnite is literally the biggest thing right now. It is the Minecraft of sort of this 5 years, right? So I mean, it is huge. And I know it's only sort of really been around for like 2 years, but it was so big. It was a machine on its own, and it forced Sony's hand. I don't know if you could force Sony's hand with something like Final Fantasy 14. I think that's unfortunate, but I just don't think that it has the pull.
Right.
If it were something like, and I'm just sort of speaking very hypothetically here. If it were World of Warcraft, right? Like if we were seeing World of Warcraft redesigned and had a launch ready for consoles, like it was sort of designed from the ground up to work on consoles, I think you would have a lot of interest in that game. That to me, I still think is the most popular MMO from numbers standpoint, and it's releasing to a whole new audience with consoles. So I feel like a game of that magnitude and that history and that still moving units with Blizzard behind it, I feel like if that game comes out and there's not crossplay and people can't play with their friends or whatever, I think that might have the weight that it needs. I just don't know if Final Fantasy 14 necessarily has sort of that swaying power.
Yeah, totally agree with that, especially that hypothetical. That was kind of a perfect way to understand that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like Overwatch, you can't crossplay with that, right? And it's not on Switch anyway. So like, but I mean, like between Xbox and PS4, that's one of the biggest games in the world, and that doesn't necessarily do it. So like, it just had to be literal force of nature, just like Fortnite was.
I mean, most of the Overwatch players, like the really kind of people who are really into it, they're on PC anyways, so
they don't even know what a console is.
I have no idea.
All right, so last but definitely not least, let's talk about some TGS stuff. A lot of our news this week didn't necessarily focus on Switch, which is just going to happen, right? It's the nature of the beast. But some interesting things RPG wise, and TGS was. Is it still going on now?
No, I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
over
over.
now.
So, so this past week, Tokyo Game Show occurred, and Game Informer's put together a really neat list here. This is a really neat list of sort of under the radar things, under the radar titles, RPGs that you may have missed. It points out that you're obviously going to have your Square Enix games that everybody's going to be paying attention to here, right? You've got your Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. You've got your Monster Hunter. You've got your Capcom Resident Evil stuff. But what about some of the little guys? Mm-hmm. So here's the list. Starting with Inazuma 11, Ares, which is coming PS4 and Switch. Now, this is confirmed for the West. I'm guessing since it's on this list.
I believe
because it says it has a huge overseas success. As long as Level 5 can see its potential and gives North American gamers a better idea of its charm. We had a blast testing out Soccer Mountain, the Japanese build. Yeah, so I want to say that it's coming over here. I hope it does, because this is a soccer RPG, which is right up my alley, and it's level 5, right?
So we have our golf RPG. Now we got our soccer RPG. Now Matt, Super Games Bros, right? Now he considers Madden an RPG. I will fight him
because it is.
I will fight both of you now about that. It is not. I mean, but this is. I would consider this an RPG.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If golf can be, if tennis can be an RPG, then soccer can be an RPG.
Are you talking about Mario Aces?
Oh gosh, no! I'm talking about the classic GBA Mario Tennis.
Okay.
Not this sorry RPG. The storyline, yeah. Nelke and the legendary Alchemists, Atelier of the New World is coming PS4, PC, and Switch. Man, that Atelier series is, I think it's as many games as I am old.
I know nothing about it. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's been out for a while, huh?
The Atelier series, yes.
Yeah.
The Alchemist,
where have I?
Yeah.
Where have
I want to
been?
say it's like 20-something games now.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's like 20-something games, and it just celebrated its 20th anniversary. I think it's averaging more games than years it's been around.
Holy cow.
Other stuff, Kill the Game, If, PS4, PC. That's an Arc System Works game. The Missing, JJ Macfield and the Island of Memories. That's PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Ninjala is coming to Switch.
Game looks really like Splatoon.
It really does. The screenshot in this article, it's like, yeah, it's very Splatoon armsy.
Yeah, yep.
Capitalizing on that art style.
You got to.
All right. Gio, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on TGS? I don't really have many thoughts on TGS, honestly.
I don't have many thoughts. I kind of wish Nintendo had more of a presence there. I feel like it's just a Sony PlayStation takeover. They might as well just call it the Sony game show 2018. Yeah, Nintendo doesn't generally have much to put there. Not sure why. Maybe they just don't feel like it's their area, but I don't know. I just feel like I want Nintendo to have a presence, and they definitely didn't.
And just to track back on some things we talked about last week, did Square Enix have a big announcement presence when it comes to the Switch? Things like Final Fantasy 6 and 8, maybe even 14? Answer is no.
Nope.
The answer is no, because they need to wait to see if we actually buy the other games before they put anything else over here. Because gosh darn it, they aren't going to put anything somewhere where people aren't buying it. That's for sure.
It's too bad.
Gio, what you been playing this week?
We talked a lot about what I've been playing.
Yeah, we already talked about what you're playing.
But I've also been playing other things. I've been playing Wasteland 2 quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also, that'll be up on the YouTubes if you wanted to look up our YouTube channel. So I've also been playing some Banner Saga. I got the trilogy, and boy, oh boy, I kind of just really started. There are just I feel like I'm watching an episode or just getting into Game of Thrones where you're just introduced to like a bunch of people and you're just trying to soak it all in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm not too far into it, maybe an hour or two. So again, I'm not too far into it, but there's been a lot of characters.
I will
in my
say,
life.
I will say, the beginning of that game, it starts off with a really cool cinematic,
Yep.
and I will like there's like 10 names in the first 6 minutes that you're playing. That really, thankfully, sort of tapers off a little bit. There's not really any cinematics after that first one for a long time, so like it doesn't feel as much like a whirlwind. So.
Okay.
And once you once you start doing wrong things to start killing characters off, you don't have to worry about them anymore.
Nice. Everyone's gonna die.
So they start doing the job for you. What have I been playing? I actually tipped my hand a little bit a second ago, Gio. I don't think you knew, but I mentioned a Wii game, not an actual like Nintendo Wii game, but like a tiny game known as World of Warcraft. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You doing it?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm doing it. Just playing around. Just playing around a little bit.
Okay.
Just messing
Had you
around a
played
little.
Had you played before?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
actually never got like sucked into it before, but I did play. I did play a lot. But I always kind of like spread my playtime over like 12 different characters. I never really like stuck to one. So.
Mm-hmm.
I never really did like in-game stuff, so I'm just messing around. I'm just messing around right now.
Okay. Yeah. Be careful. It'll get you. The MMO bug will get you.
Yeah, yeah. Like I've said before, I come from like Guild Wars, that ilk. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just messing around with WoW.
Nice,
It's just casual
nice,
right now. It's just casual, Gio. It's just casual. There's nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're playing, long periods of time, and then you notice like the sun's coming up, the birds are chirping, it's time to stop.
That's
It might
that,
be too far.
that
You
that
might
is
be too
actually
far gone.
that's
But
actually Civ 5 for me.
okay.
Civilization 5.
All right.
So it's actually bad that Civ 6 is coming to the Switch. Honestly.
Oh no. Well, you can take that on the go, so you can play it in bed and just kind of fall asleep.
Cool. Just put it on my chest and it's there for me when I wake up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from you. Remember, we're all about community here at the Switchrpg podcast. So if you want to be part of the show, you can send us your questions by filling out the question form on our website. That's switchrpg.com/podcast. And you can send us a question just like Paul Nichols did. I believe this is our only question of the week.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. So he asked if you could only have one movie, one book, and one video game to entertain you for the rest of your life, what would they be?
Wow.
One movie, book, and video game.
Now here's the thing. I don't read books. That's just me. Maybe I should read more. Now, if I was to read books, I would say maybe something like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. That might be a tougher read, but something like that, I guess. Because they're lengthy, right? So, I mean, that would kind of be good. I mean, I got the rest of my life to read this.
That's a series, though.
All
Game
right,
of Thrones
it is a series.
like, okay, you could have a Game of Thrones. What's the first book in the series? You just gonna read the first book over and over and over again?
Well, what else am I gonna do? This is the rest of my life.
That's the rest. Yeah. I mean, that's true. That's true.
Okay.
I mean, I will give it to you though that like Game of Thrones and like George R.R. Martin, like you could read it 6 times and still not get the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and that's kind of where I was going at. Maybe, I could entertain myself with that for quite a while and then become an expert and whatnot. But
and you could also like I would assume you could listen to Super Games Bros podcast on Game of Thrones.
Well, I mean,
To
if he considers Madden an RPG, I ain't listening to anything he does. So I will have to talk to him again, and we'll
Yeah, but
discuss.
he sends you really cool T-shirts.
What?
Yeah,
He sent you that?
he did send me that. Yeah.
I got to give him my mailing address. Maybe he just doesn't know.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe,
not. Maybe you
maybe he
should
just.
believe about Madden being an RPG.
All right. Well, we'll have to talk about things.
Okay, what about your movie?
Movie. Oh no. Movie would have to be The Dark Knight. I absolutely
Oh,
love
okay,
that movie. It's
okay,
probably one of my all-time favorites.
okay,
So it would have to be The Dark Knight.
okay, okay. And video game.
Video game, The Witcher. I feel like I could be in that world forever and not discover everything. So it would have to be The Witcher. Fallout maybe Fallout 3, but I think I prefer The Witcher over Fallout personally. What do you got for books? You like to read. You're one of them reading types.
Yeah. Okay. So for books, here is sort of my problem is that it's the series conundrum, like I was just telling you. Now I
Yeah.
do have some authors that would do exactly what George R. R. Martin was doing for you, which was length, right?
Hmm.
So Brandon Sanderson is my obvious first choice for me. He's my favorite author, and he is a gift to mankind. So I want to go there. His very first book, Elantris, is standalone, so that would actually would work.
Hmm.
But actually, his series, The Way of Kings, would probably be a better place to go. But I don't know. It's the first. I don't know if I'd want to read the first book in the series so many times. I mean, this is the rest of my life.
I mean, there are
So
some good Stephen King books, right? I
yeah,
mean,
that's true. That's
they
true. I
have
mean,
some length to that.
The Stand would,
Yep.
yeah. So I'm actually honestly thinking about going the opposite route with a book and go something shorter.
Like a pop-up book. Oh,
So I'll give you like a very very uh obscure choice for book. And it's from the author A. Milne, who is the creator of Winnie the Pooh. But he had a book called Once on a Time that is like a fantasy slash a spoof of fantasy. And to me, it's the funniest thing I've ever read. It's the only book that I've ever had to sit down, or I'd had to like set it down to like laugh and like
okay.
wipe away tears because I was laughing so hard, and then go back to the book. I thought it was hilarious for some reason. So I'll
Okay.
pick that. I'll pick that because it's shorter. I could just like read it in the afternoon, set it on the shelf for a year, and then come back and read it again.
Okay.
As far as game, Skyrim's the first
Okay.
thing that came to mind.
I was gonna say Dragon Age. Yeah, let's get it over with. But you didn't go there.
No, because I feel like I need to go something exploratory and like open world.
That's kind of
if
where I
that's
went.
the only thing that I can play, right?
Right.
So something that like I've played Skyrim for like 5 to 10 years, and there's still side quests that I haven't done.
Mhm.
There's still main quests I haven't done in that game, you know. So there's that. I mean, I don't know if MMOs are even
That's cheating.
legal, right? Because
Nope. Yeah,
for
that's
some
cheating.
reason I'm thinking like this is like the end of the world, and I've got like 3 things, and I'm the only person here, right? So Skyrim's the first thing that sort of comes to my mind there.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we kind of went in the same direction.
Mhm.
So
And then for movie, we almost kind of went same direction again because my first thought was something Christopher Nolan.
like Inception.
Interstellar actually was the first
Interstellar?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know if I want to cry that many times.
You just be sad and mopey all by
I
yourself.
cry every time I watch that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, Inception was good too. God, a movie though. I don't know that I could watch over and over and over again. See, the problem is I don't really normally do that. I don't watch movies more than once.
No.
All right, I'm gonna go another obscure or not. You probably wouldn't think this. How to Train Your Dragon. Animated.
For real?
Yeah, animated.
First one or the second one? You like the first one better? I think the sequel is better. But
I'm going to. Okay. I think it's a better movie. I think it has more emotional impact, and the music is better. And I'm very excited for the third one.
Okay. Wow. You going animated?
Yes, because I feel like it can stand the test of time.
Yeah.
I feel like it can. Like,
I mean, I feel that way with the Dark Knight as well.
mm-hmm.
You know, if I look back, say for example, with the Michael Keaton Batman, for me that didn't age well, but I feel like Dark Knight does. So yeah, I mean, if we're ever, if the world's ever gonna end, I better get those things like quick. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Paul, for the question. All right. I realized that I skipped sales and releases, so let me pull that list up and let's cover that very quickly. Games coming out. Gosh, what is the date right now? It is the 26th. So that means this week we've had the release of Valkyria Chronicles 4, which released on the 25th. Yeah. That's a big major.
Yeah.
And remember, we've got the Valkyria Chronicles. I can't remember what they're actually calling it, but it's essentially the remaster of the first one coming next month or later this month.
Yeah, later. I'm not sure.
October. Yeah. I'm already in October. Mine. Yeah, I think it's like October. Is mid-October. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's coming up. Then we got Armello, which is coming on the 27th. Do you know anything about Armello?
That one I actually just knew about. That one. That's I believe that's also a tactical RPG. Visually, it looks kind of interesting. So yeah. Definitely take a look at that one.
And we do have that on the site. Remember, you can go over to switchrpg.com to see a database of every single RPG released on the Nintendo Switch. And on its page, Armello's page, we do have the game trailer. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. All right. Gio, you know what time it is?
Side quest time. I knew it.
Side quest time. And
I knew we were doing it. I knew
we were doing the thing. All right. Gio, what is our side quest for this week?
I did tweet it out. Or Switchrpg tweeted it out. What is your favorite RPG trope? We had a few interesting responses. I'll just say for me, I think I don't know what it is, and you know they all do, a lot of RPGs do it when there's a random encounter or something like that. The glass break, the like, I think it's kind of cool, and they've been doing that forever, and
there's all kinds of versions of that too. It's like the swirl.
Yep.
Yeah, the break. The like the crossfade. Yeah.
But I just it doesn't make any sense. Like you're traversing the world, and why does the break? I don't know. It's an RPG. It's just a game. So
that will always remind me of I believe it was the maybe the Mihin High Road in Final Fantasy X.
I'm sorry. What was that?
The Mihin High Road in Final Fantasy X, I think, is where that reminds me of that.
Yeah, and then just everything just shatters.
Now there is a variation on that theme where the glass shatters, but the sound is slightly different, right? So like normal battle, it's like glass shatters with like and then the battle music. But if the glass ever shatters with like nothing, then you know that it's a boss encounter because it's like
yep.
And then just like the weird like organ music, and then you know that it's a boss encounter.
Yeah, you better prepare. Why don't you give me yours, and then I'll give give some of these answers.
Okay, so a couple the couple that come to mind. Villain monologues. I mean, RPGs been doing villain monologues for decades. I love it. Final Fantasy, famous for that. Something else. And this is sort of a trope in fantasy as well, and so I think that we kind of saw the bleed over from that because a lot of RPGs have these fantasy elements with it. But like the young farm boy, or if you want to call him like the uninitiated farm boy,
right?
I always think that that's fun and comforting. Like we've done this before. So.
All right, so some of the answers were the main enemy or protagonist constantly letting you go after multiple interactions, allowing you to become strong enough to defeat them by the end of the game. Either that or every new town coincidentally is offering stronger equipment than the last. How convenient, right? Yeah, so that was funny. So another one. High school students need to balance their daily school life and saving the world. Never gets old. And then also Captain Vulgar, definitely he loves the villains to teammates. So when you got a main bad guy, he becomes your friend and ally. Another one, the final boss is revealed to be just a minion of the true final boss. So you have like a super boss. All right, then we have Paul Nichols. My actual favorite is when they break the fourth wall with an in-game character to explain what is going on when something in the gameplay is changing, like Toad in Mario RPG or the Moggle in FF6.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
Let's see. Again, Paul Nichols, battles you technically win, but then lose during the cutscene.
I hate that.
This for story purposes.
I know
Xenoblade does that a lot,
too.
but yeah.
Good Lord.
I like it when there's a secret final optional boss who's so hard you think, wow, I'm glad this isn't the guy you tried to take over the world. All amazing answers. Thank you everyone for answering that question. That was good.
Yeah, I was sitting over here thinking about more. I like when I've always liked unique weapons in games, and so like I can go that two ways. I like when a weapon like a sword is a part of the main story, has like a personality, like the Monado, or thinking to Tales of Destiny, like the second Tales game. It has a talking sword. So I like when swords sort of have that personality and are part of that main story. You kind of see that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 as well. But then also I like the idea of like ultimate weapons. That's always been one of my favorite things, is to get the ultimate weapons, right? Go grind till you get the ultimate weapons. So I like the sort of history of RPGs.
There's a lot of good ones, and then there are a lot of ones that we dislike, but we'll get to that maybe next week.
Maybe. Way to tease it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up episode 24 of the Switchrpg podcast. Thank you so much for listening and for sending in questions and your answers to the side quests, for being a part of our episode. Keep them coming. Remember, you can send your questions to switchrpg.com/podcast. Or you can post in our podcast thread at discord.switchrpg.com. You can listen to this show each and every week. Usually it's on Wednesday, but if my internet bombs, then it's on Thursday. And you can find it on your favorite podcast app. You're pretty much everywhere now, including Spotify. Remember, if you like what you hear and you want to contribute, you can head over to patreon.com/switchrpg and throw us $1 or $2. If not, no worries. Just being a part of the community is what we love. So remember, finally, that you can head over to switchrpg.com for all of your RPG needs on the Nintendo Switch platform. Until next time, I will be going and enjoying all of those ridiculously annoying tropes.
and playing some WoW.
Oh. Or Divinity Original Sin 2.
Yes.
See you,
Goodbye.
bro.